All right, y'all. Back in the swing of things. Back in the swing of things. uh, I'm back in the swing of things, man. I'm out here trying to get my footing back on. I'm gonna get my footing back. My video footing back, and I want to talk to y'all about the black community. The black community. Now, a lot of people will say, well, the black community has this problem and that problem and this problem and that problem and all these different problems. And they're right. We have a whole bunch of different problems. And sometimes we blame it on the women. And sometimes we blame it on the men. And sometimes we blame it on the white man. And sometimes we blame it on the Latino man. And sometimes we blame it on this thing or the devil. Or sometimes we blame it on God. Or sometimes we blame it on the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah, or any one of these different excuses or reasons why we will say, "Oh, it's a curse. It's a this. It's whatever." Right? But if you really look at the black community, it really only has two major. It only has two problems, and from those two problems, the tentacles of those two problems reach out to almost every other uh, portion of black life. And those two problems are inappropriate mating, uh, inappropriate mate selection, and un, untimely conception. Um, those are the two main issues that are plaguing the black community. And if we could get a handle on those two things, then it will be a problem. It would cease to be a problem. We would put the child um, support industry out of business just by picking better mates, just by better mate selection, and then of obviously having children at the right time, at not having children at an improper time. Uh, so those are the two things. So why do you say this, Clarence? Why do you say this? We have all these different problems. We have crime. All those things can be related to poor mate selection in the black community. Poor mate selection in the black community means that people choose mates that they're not uh, good mates, improper for them, and they end up not staying together, which ends up creating uh, single parenthood, which ends up has a which statistically creates more criminals, and more criminals statistically equal more crime. Right? All of these things are all of these things are functions of improper mate selection. We're just not picking good mates, men and women. We're just not picking good mates. But I can't blame you. You don't know how to pick good mates. And then you come online and you listen to people that they do not have good mate selection advice for you. And then you listen to them because they tickle your ear and tell you what you want to hear. It's all black women's fault. That's why you guys can't get anywhere, because it's all black women's fault. It's all black men's fault. And everybody's tickling everybody's ears. And nobody wants to listen to people that actually have been in relationships, because you know what? Nobody wants the relationship. They don't want the pain that goes into relationships. They don't want the sacrifice that goes into relationships. They don't want the selflessness to have to go into it. People want to be in a relationship and just be worshipped and, thought of as, oh, they're just so, instead of in a real relationships are dynamic. They're changing all the time. They're shifting all the time. You think you're going to marry somebody and be with them for 20 years and they're going to be the same person you married 20 years ago? No, things are changing. You got to learn how to change with them. And then you got to know how to, when you see somebody going in the wrong direction, you got to be able to know how to pull them back and get them back on track. And sometimes they will make mistakes. But if you love them, then you're willing to sacrifice to pull them back in because you don't want nothing bad to happen to them, right? See, people ain't telling the truth about relationships. People ain't telling the truth about relationships, man. They out here telling you, oh yeah, if you, I seen one guy telling people, hey, go, all you got to do is just be a super controlling person over your spouse, and they will they will accept it because you got money. They mean they're just giving out bad advice out here, man. Giving out bad advice. And take it for somebody who knows, man. I've been married so many years, man. Probably longer than all of y'all been alive. But that is the first thing we're doing is we have improper mate selection skills. We just do not know how to select proper mates. You know what I mean? We're not mating. We're effing. It's a difference between mating and effing. And we have horrible mating skills. And we even have horrible effing skills. But we're choosing people to F with, but we're not choosing good mates. Then you try to back your way out of the hole after you've effed so many different people. Now you try to pick a mate, and then you mad because the mate that you want, the type of mate you want, is not interested in somebody who has been getting effed all the time. So that's a whole nother issue. Body count, does body count? Yes, and body counts matter to men. I don't know about women, but body counts matter to men because men look at the body count as a lifestyle that body count lends itself to previous behavior and decision making. And if the only thing we got to look forward to your future decision making is past decision making. If there's nothing that is significantly different, then if you made bad decisions in the past, you're probably going to make bad decisions in the future. And what man is going to connect his wagon to a woman that he knows is going to make a bad decision in the future at some point? This is why body counts are important, because men look at it like that. Brother Clarence, here you go with this stuff again, man. You keep talking crazy. I know I keep talking crazy, but there ain't never be nobody that come up here and tell me you wrong. Nobody comes up here and says, hey, Clarence, you wrong. You wrong. No, what you want to do is go out there and prove me right? Prove me wrong, excuse me. You want to prove me wrong, right? Especially the women. I'm going to go out here and just keep effing people until I find the right man. I'm going to just keep effing and effing and effing and effing and effing until I find the right man. Same thing with the men. I'm going to keep effing all these different women, and then finally it's going to work out. I'll find a good woman. Oh, man. Yes, those are the one in a lifetime type of situations. It's not usually that don't happen that way. It usually don't happen that way. Anyway, let's get back to our subject, which is improper mate selection. You choose a mate. You choose a mates based on such poor information, man. Poor information. You know what I mean? You choose a mates based on stuff that you should already be married before you are connecting with a person. Sexual tension. You choose a mates based on sexual tension or sexual attractiveness. These are things that you are glorifying, and then you are uh, hallucinating over, and you creating an attraction, unnatural attraction to this stuff, and then when the person don't want to be with you no more, you can't handle it because you in your head have already created this unnatural attraction to them. It's just ridiculous, man. But that's what we doing. And the black community is paying for it. We're paying for it with single parenthood, crime, poverty. Bro, Clarence, how's bad mate selection and promoting poverty? It promotes poverty because these parents, you selecting the wrong kind of mate, and then the mate don't stay with you, and then it puts you in a position a lot of times where you have to raise children under the poverty line because you don't have no help, and the type of person you chose is not out to help you. They just out to get sex. It's a bad situation. The tentacles of improper mate selection stretch out to almost every aspect of black life. Almost every aspect. From the music to look at your television program. Look at your television show. Look at your black television show. Can you find one black TV show that's out there that has a strong father, a good family? And I'm going to tell you one thing that almost none of them have, and that it was the cornerstone of the black community was the dining room table. That was the cornerstone of the black community was the dining room table in the 70s and the 80s, in the 60s and in 60s, 70s, and 80s. The cornerstone of the black community was the dining room table. So you could not get away from the dining room table because the dining room table is where you had to show and prove. Your father was going to ask you, son, what happened today? See? What happened? How did this happen? What happened in this particular situation? What have you done? What have you been doing today? What did you learn today? See, you knew you was gonna be on Front Street, so you had to have your stuff together. Where's the dining room table in the black community now? The dining room table, most of these children ain't never even seen a dining room table. If they do, it's just stuff gets stacked on it. It ain't they don't eat there. They don't have to go there and start and have an account for their day. We had to have an account for our day. But the black community is done, man. It's done. It's just not happening right now. All of this stuff is based on poor mate selection. It all can be traced back to poor mate selection. You don't most of these girls, they don't even know how to set a table. They don't even know how to set a table. They don't even know how to make a meal presentable to a man. Oh man, it's so crazy, man. It's so crazy. And then the men, you don't even know how to talk to your children at the table. You don't know how to speak to them in a way where they can still eat their food, but at the same time, they know that they're being held accountable for their day. So they can't go out there and bullshit because they know at some point they're going to be held accountable for their day. Is that happening in the black community today? No. the cornerstone of the black community. I know you thought it was the church. It was not the church. It was the dining room table. The dining room table was the cornerstone of the black community, and it is gone. It is gone. The church played a part. The church played a part. The church was influential. But in that house, the cornerstone of the black household was the dining room table. If you were lucky, you guys could pull up the TV and watch the news there. Father wasn't watching no cartoons. He was watching the news. And you had to watch the news. You had to learn something. Even you didn't learn nothing all day. You learn something at that table about the world affairs and current events. You talking crazy, Brother Clarence. You talking crazy. I know I'm talking crazy, right? Okay, if I'm talking so crazy, all of you, all of the degreed Negroes, I'm inviting all of the degreed Negroes, professional and unprofessional. Come on and tell me I'm wrong. Come on and tell me I'm wrong. You can't. You can't tell me I'm wrong. You have no way of telling me I'm wrong because I know I'm right. I've lived it. I went through it. I know it. And my father, we sat at the table. Well, no, one person in this room, one person in that room. We ate at the table. If you wasn't eating at the table, you ain't eating. Everybody was at that table, and you ate what was put on that table. But let me get back to what I was talking about. Poor mate selection. So with poor mate selection, is there a man in the house to be at that table? No. Therefore, it's academic to have a table if you don't have the man at the table, man that's going to be at that table, right? The table's pretty much academic. It's just a ornament, right? The next thing, let me get it, and I'm going to make this one real quick, is the improper timing of conception. The improper timing of conception in the black community is horrible. Horrible. We having children at the worst possible times. Worst possible times. We picking the worst possible times to impregnate these women, those of us men. Okay, so you said, well, it's on the woman because the woman has the choice. No, the woman, it ain't on the woman. It's on you as the man. Once you turn over possession of your sperm, now it's on the woman. Now it's on the woman. You don't have to turn over possession of your sperm. You do not have to relinquish possession of your sperm. You don't have to do that. You have a choice, right? This ain't slavery. You don't have to. But when you decide, hey, I'm going to get involved in this act with this woman, and at the conclusion, I'm going to relinquish my sperm into her possession, from my possession to her possession. Well, like they say, finders keepers, losers weepers, right? Once you turn over your sperm to a female, she can use it and take it and use it for its intended purpose, which is fertilizing female eggs. What? I didn't know that, Clarence. I didn't know that. Yes. Once you turn over possession of your sperm, it can then be used for its intended purpose. What is the intended purpose of sperm? It is to fertilize eggs. If you turn over your sperm to a female, she can then use your sperm for its intended purpose. You have no, once she does that, and the uh, conception has been started, you have no choice about whether you're going to be a father or not, or whether it's the right time for you or not. See, we got to think outside the box. We got to think bigger than the current situation. We have to think bigger. But you know what? The black community is in shambles. It's in shambles because of these two situations: improper mate selection and improper time of conception. Just the black community is in shambles behind these two. If we could correct those two things, if we could just correct those two things, the child support industry would go away. Single parenthood would be almost non-existent. Crime would drop. Why? Because there wouldn't be no criminals out there. There wouldn't be no more criminals out there. Because every child in the black community would have somebody to hold them accountable. Right? It'd be like now where you got the government is there to make sure that your children, these children end up in the foster care system, and then from the foster care system into the YA, and then from YA into the prison system, into the adult prison system. Why? Because that is a way where a lot of people are making money, not just off of black children, but off of white ones too. But we in the black community have a humongously more serious issue. Our situation is so much more complex. It needs to be addressed. All of you guys out there that's taking this marriage advice from these people that are telling you stuff, and they not even they don't even they either telling you fluke advice or they telling you bad advice. No, man, stop taking advice from people. That's like you taking flying lessons from somebody who ain't never been up in a plane, or they done crashed every time they got up in a plane. No, you want somebody who has landed smoothly a bunch of different times. That's where you take your lessons from. You don't take no lessons from no dude that's never been up in a plane. They look good. They got the flight suit and all of that, but they ain't never landed the plane good. No, no, no. Anyway, that's my opinion. There's only two problems in the black community. There's only two. Improper mate selection and improper time of conception. Those are the two problems, and from those two problems have tentacles that go out and create other issues in the black community. So how do we stop that? How do we stop that? That's the thing. That's why I have another page called the Pre-Marriage Mentor. I want you to go there. Pre-Marriage Mentor. I'm going to be trying to teach young men how to choose good mates, how to make good decisions when it comes to mate selection. It's not, we can say it's not our fault, but it is our fault. It's our fault, our meaning men. It's our fault because we're the ones actually doing the choosing. But Clarence, Kevin Samuel said that women choose when you have sex. I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Can't no woman decide when I'm going to have sex. I'm going to have sex when I'm going to have it. Now, the only thing she can decide is whether I'm going to have it with her. She can't decide for me when I'm going to have sex. She just deciding whether I'm going to have it with her. You know what I mean? So I'm not, I don't think like that. Women decide when you have sex. Women decide when you're going to have sex, and men decide when you're going to marry. Men decide everything. When you're going to marry, when you're going to have sex, when you're going to have a car, men decide just about everything. A working man, rather said working men do. They decide just about everything. You mean you going against Kevin Samuels? I'm not going against Kevin Samuels. I'm a subscriber of his. But I don't agree with everything the guy says. I mean, some things I just don't agree with. Still subscribe to the guy, but you know what I mean? I just got some differences of opinion with him on a couple of different things. I don't hate the guy. You know what I mean? Just I would answer, so if some people ask me some questions about stuff, I would just answer differently. But I think that young guys, there's a lane for a guy like Kevin Samuels. There's a lane for guys like that. Just like there's a lane for a guy like me who's going to come and tell you how to actually pick a woman. But now, a guy like Kevin is going to help you get a lot more. You're going to have a lot more sex. Listen to a guy like Kevin. You're going to have a lot less sex. Listen to a guy like me. But your life is going to run a lot better. Your life's going to be a lot better. And you're not going to be as lonely. And you're going to be more fulfilled. Because you're going to learn how to select people that have qualities that are good qualities in the long run. Right? But that's me. That's me. I'm biased. Well, go listen to Kevin if you try to get money and have beautiful women on your arm, and you have to switch them out all the time. Hey, go listen to Kevin. He is definitely ready-made for that lifestyle. But if you want to get a woman that you can have generational wealth, because that's what marriage is about. Marriage is for one thing, and that's to pass on generational wealth. That's all marriage is for. And you do that by raising children, raising heirs to your throne. And the best way to do that is in a marriage situation, right? That's a whole nother story. Anyway, y'all tell me what y'all think. I got it twisted. Maybe maybe improper mate selection is not the problem in the black community. In my opinion, it is. I mean, it is the root problem of almost everything bad in the black community. Improper mate selection is the root problem of almost every situation in the black community. As same can be said for improper timing of conception, having children at the wrong time. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely can almost all bad things in the black community can be attributed to these two things. Tell me what y'all think, and let's talk about it. Y'all let me know. All right. And like I said, go to my other page, Pre-Marriage Mentor, where I'm going to continue to give you information on how to mate select properly and how to navigate through being a man, a good man, a decent man. All right? All right, y'all. Peace.